Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hello and a very good morning to each and every one of you who's tuned into Pakistan TV and are watching world this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, I happen to be Shahzad Khan, and with me, I'm really lucky that I've been joined by my wonderful colleague, happens to be Miss Eesha, Rehan. For each and every one of you, we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Eesha, assalamu alaikum. How are you feeling today?
Walaikum assalam, Shahzad. I feel absolutely great on this splendid, beautiful day of a Jummah. And not just this, I feel like on this day we need to ponder upon the thought to spend time with family and friends and make sure that it is a meaningful interaction, right? Because you never know when anything could happen, or maybe you could meet each other after many years, or maybe it would be the last meeting that you have.
Exactly. So for the kind of people that you're not in conversation with, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure that you take today as an opportunity. But very quickly, so this is where it gets interesting. So my producer actually, our producer, she actually came into the room just yesterday and she was like, Shahzad bhai, you do so many hellos as highs, and you make sure that they are local languages and then they are international languages, and you make sure that that it's a mix of both. So why don't you give it a try that it's just international languages, for our international audiences. So I thought I'm going to give it a try.
Okay, go ahead.
So because of the fact that there's always this rhythm and flow, so I'm going to try. I'm going to be mindful about it, and let's see how it goes. So probably Assalamu alaikum, Ohaya Gozaimas, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal, Hale Shuma Chatore, Ahlan Wassalam, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabio, Bali Kare Aya. Bali Kare Aya was a local one. Hosh ke Alden and I say, Huyamora, Chivattochi, Aljot, Kalimera. Well, we did it. I think our producer is going to approve about it as well. So I think with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with what sort of conversations we're going to have today. First things first, the diplomatic ascent we always love to speak about for Pakistan. Pakistan doing wonderfully well on all sorts of diplomatic platforms. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine that the Pakistan-Kyrgyzstan Business Forum concluded with major breakthroughs as a 20-member Kyrgyz delegation and 83 Pakistani companies held 120 business-to-business meetings, resulting in 11 memorandum of understandings across pharma, IT, mining, energy, logistics and banking. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov attended the forum, calling for stronger logistics, links, energy corridors and regional connectivity. Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov, during his two-day visit to Pakistan, held talks with the Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif at the Prime Minister House in Islamabad. And not just that, President Asif Ali Zardari received Kyrgyz President Sadir Japarov at Afghan Sadr. In addition to this, obviously, certainly, there have been quite a lot of meetings, not just that, where we have mentioned about the Honorable Prime Minister of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the President of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and the Chief of the Armed Forces.
All right. Even though Pakistan is doing wonderfully well, a pertinent issue across the globe needs to be highlighted and brought to light, and that is how the Phase 2 of the Gaza peace plan is being pushed by US President Donald Trump. However, we can see Israel blatantly violating the ceasefire violations, and we have Trump claims that we have peace in the Middle East, even though the ground reality remains extremely violent because of Israel's actions. Phase 1 of this peace plan included hostages exchanges, and now Phase 2 is going to start. The UN Secretary General openly stated that Israel's actions in Gaza are fundamentally wrong and amount to a genocidal war. And not just this, Israel has been carrying out blatant violations with their neighbor in Lebanon. Israeli airstrikes targeted southern Lebanon a day after the Lebanese and Israeli representatives held a first direct talks in decades. And despite this, Lebanon's prime minister has said that his country was far from diplomatic normalization or economic relations with Israel, despite a move towards direct negotiations between the two countries aimed at diffusing the tensions. We can see how Israel is on a catastrophic run, aiming its missiles at the innocent people of Gaza and now at the innocent people of Lebanon.
Exactly. So we will certainly be talking about that, and from there onwards, obviously I'm not going to let this moment or opportunity go away for myself, where I rope in cricket, because Ashes, ladies and gentlemen, happen to be one of the most competitive cricket which is present as of now in this world. Obviously England and Australia coming together in Test cricket, and that's something which the world would want to see. And speaking of that, this is the second Test which is going on, and fortunately or unfortunately for England, England were at 334 for 0, and it was Joe Root with his 40th ton, and it was his first in Australia, which actually gave them a breakthrough as well after losing 4 wickets, ladies and gentlemen. 4 players went for duck. We will be talking about that. And just before we went on air, ladies and gentlemen, Australia was trailing by somewhat around 295 runs. Their openers have quite a lot of responsibility onto them. We will be speaking about it and what the world can actually learn from Ashes and the series which is still underway. At this point of time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it again. If you're having a breakfast, make sure that you continue to do so while watching our show. If you're missing out on your cup of tea, coffee or juice or whatever you would like early in the morning, please make sure that you've got almost 10 to 20 seconds to go run to the kitchen, get it and come back. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. We are
World This Morning. All right, welcome back to all the lovely people who stay tuned to watch World This Morning on PTV World. And this is going to be your favorite segment because we are going to be highlighting how the president of Kyrgyzstan is in Pakistan after 20 long years, 2 decades, and 15 MoUs have been signed in the fields of energy, trade, transportation, and healthcare, as well as academics. To dive in further and how Pakistan is being very, very hospitable towards the president of Kyrgyzstan, we actually have with us a former ambassador who happens to be SHAHID KIANI. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm honored to be on your show once again.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time. You've always been really kind, and for you to be on our show and to get our conversation started with you early every morning, almost whenever you are here, it's wonderful, it's fabulous. So thank you so much for your time. And sir, to kind of get started, where Eesha actually did point it towards these 15 memorandum of understandings which have been actually signed in between Kyrgyzstan and Pakistan. What sort of importance? And it's because of the fact that I'm going to give you a brief background where in 2023 and 24 we had the bilateral trade of somewhat around $11.5 million. Then in 2024-25 it dropped to almost $5.1 million, and now we're looking at $200 million of bilateral trade.
Yeah, first of all, let me say to you, I think I commend this government for having taken into account the importance of geopolitical location. The Central Asian republics have been there, been there for ages, and since the breakup of the Soviet Union, these countries are independent now. They are rich in natural resources, and Kyrgyzstan, being a very small country, but endowed with natural resources, our government, what I commend this government is that if you look at last year, when we had the SCO summit here, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif took into account the importance of these Central Asian republics. He gave them importance, and he maybe 2, 3, 4 times he had visited the Central Asian republics and gave them the importance they deserve. Because people-to-people contact are important. We have now more than 15, 16,000 students studying in Kyrgyzstan, is there in the medical colleges. Then look at that, where we reached out to this country, they are landlocked countries. They need us and we need them. And I tell you how. They need us because they are landlocked. They need the transit route to go to our ports. And let's hope that sanity prevails in Afghanistan and the Afghan government realizes that they can earn a lot by allowing these Central Asian republics to use our ports. The other thing is the MOUs which we have seen, which has been signed, mostly are in the context of commercial and trade, and then in defense. So let's hope that this government, which has taken into account the importance of geopolitical location, giving importance to Central Asian publics, improving the trade, improving the people-to-people contact, is something which I would say the earlier governments did not give the focus which it deserved. And this government needs to be commended for that.
Exactly. And sir, thank you so much for saying that. I might be jumping places a little bit. It's because of the energy that I feel today. But sir, very quickly, which I do believe is of utmost importance. Now imagine that since the time that the Honorable Prime Minister has taken to office, the civil leadership and the military leadership working together, being on the same page, we have seen a diplomatic ascent of a sort which we have never witnessed at least in my life, I've never witnessed that. Imagine that we have cordial relations, obviously ironclad partnership with China and Pakistan, then the United States of America. Wherever Mr. Donald Trump travels, he always reminds how amazing, our Chief of Armed Forces is and how amazing our Prime Minister is, the Polish Deputy Prime Minister to come over here, the defense agreement with Saudi Arabia, the Middle Eastern relationships that we have been able to develop. And now we do see how with Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Pakistan is making sure that there's quite a lot of reverberance amongst all of these countries. How important was it for Pakistan to be recognized at such a global stage, and that too amongst all of these amazing countries, to have some amazing diplomatic relations?
I would first of all again take you back to the SCO summit. It's not a small event, it was an extremely important event. The SCO gave us the importance which we deserved, let me be honest. And then we hosted these Central Asian Republic head of states and governments, and we gave them the importance. This is something which our earlier governments unfortunately ignored. And now, and I again say that our Prime Minister made a number of visits to these countries, welcomed their head of governments and states when they came to Pakistan. If you recall, during that brief conflict with India, certain Central Asian republics stood with Pakistan. So, as they say, quid pro quo, you support them, they support you. And here again, I would say the the importance that this government is giving to people-centric approach, which is business to business and people to people. This is something which had been absent earlier. So let's hope that these MOUs which have been signed, that you have just referred, they take they should be followed up into agreements and they should be implemented. This is something which at times at times in Pakistan I see slows down. You forget that you have signed this agreement. I think the Prime Minister himself should focus on that and ensure that these MOUs are implemented because they are in the realm of economic, trade, defense, and other agreements. So these are very, very important. Let the businesses thrive. When the businesses thrive, employment is generated. This is something which have been missing in the past. So my uh, prayer is that let's hope we do not welcome our Central Asian republics head of states after 2 decades. This is something which is very embarrassing. 2 decades elapsed, and then we are welcoming our head of states from Central Asian republics. Let us welcome them every year, and let us our head of states and governments go to those countries, two-way.
All right, thank you so much. You've actually highlighted that very, very accurately. And let's actually refer back to a point that you highlighted just before, and that was that Pakistan has offered to provide Kyrgyzstan with 3 of our ports, number 1 being Karachi, the second one being Gwadar, and third being Port Qasim. How important of a strategic move was this regarding trade by providing this route for this landlocked country in Central Asia?
This is a need of these countries. They are endowed with natural resources. Gold is something which is, if you look at in our country or in any South Asian country, gold is something which is treasured by the people. Even the poor people look at gold is important when their children are getting married. So gold is something which this Kyrgyzstan government wants to. It has been exporting. It's not that we are waiting, but to give them a port nearer to their territory is something which is very, very important, very significant. But it can. But I will tell you frankly, it is going to work far better when peace is comes to Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is as we all know is not behaving in the normal manner of a country which wants to peacefully coexist with its neighbors. So let's hope. But for a landlocked country to give them facility of ports is extremely important, because trade cannot go, trade cannot prosper unless they have ports of entry. So let's hope we are able to give them these ports and be able to really follow it up. Because I say, I may be corrected by somebody, but they have to go through Afghanistan to reach our ports. So let's hope that Afghanistan also understands It will also benefit because when you have a transit route, then those countries which are using these transits have to pay. And I mean, as I say, everybody will benefit. Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all will benefit. And SCO, the most important thing is the SCO is going to prosper more once these Central Asian republics get these ports of these the connection to the ports, and Pakistan is offering
Exactly.
it.
And said over here at this point of time, we'll be talking about all of this as well. Everybody is very aware of CASA 1000. So imagine Sadr Japarov also mentioned the Central Asia, South Asia electricity transmission and trade project, saying it would serve as a cornerstone in establishing a unified energy system between Central and South Asia, which is said to be ready by 2027. How do you think all of these nations will be benefiting from it?
I tell you, as I said, again wants to commend this government. Business is the soul of country relationship with the other countries. Tell you, because this is people centric. When people benefit, CASA 1000, as you said very rightly, is something which we have been talking about it for the last many decades. Let's hope it comes to fruition. And I once again say to you, for Central Asian republics which are which are peaceful, let me be honest, these are countries which are if their literacy rate is more than 90%, I tell you frankly, they are they are rich in natural resources. They want to reach out to us. They want to have a connection with our ports. But for that, again, I want to say to you, some sanity should prevail in Afghanistan. Let the government of Afghanistan understand that past is past. Look into the future. Allow your people to prosper, and they can only prosper when when they peace their governments peacefully coexist with its neighbors. So this center, coming back to Kyrgyzstan, I think we should welcome the presence of the president of Kyrgyzstan, and he brought a huge delegation with it, and the business delegation. It was a business delegation. Look at their aim and objective: improving their lives, their own lives, the lives of our people, and people-centric approach. This is something which have been missed.
Exactly, sir. And certainly, you were very right when you mentioned that, that Afghanistan or the Taliban regime in Afghanistan really needs to be kind of mindful, because if we are to speak about prosperity or economic prosperity, people to people exchanges, business to business exchanges, we really need them to kind of think sane. And unfortunately, in recent times, we have seen, how in United States of America, even Afghan nationals have been planning of attacks. Not just that, there have been gunfires as well. Two of the National Guards have been, one of them was murdered by an Afghan national. Other than that, we did see how, unfortunately, in Tajikistan, 5 Chinese were actually being murdered in a cross-border attack. We have seen skirmishes from the Afghan Taliban regime with the Pakistan armed forces. So probably, I think we'll have to get a way around that as well and make sure that, that we are able to kind of convey all of our messages and, in all the most sane manner to the Afghani nationals that, hey, you know what, if you need to live peacefully, you need to make sure that the Afghan Taliban regime well understands what is essential. But sir, in addition to this, very quickly, towards the end, imagine that the Sadr Japarov from Kyrgyzstan has actually invited the Prime Minister as a guest of honor to the 2026 Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit that will take place in Bishkek, and as well as to the World Nomad Games 2026. So the presence or the representation of Pakistan is going almost everywhere in the globe as of now. What do we make of it? And sir, to come back towards the end and to wrap it up, Pakistan certainly is doing phenomenally well at all fronts, and I would want my Pakistani fellows to kind of understand it, not just because I'm sitting on Pakistan TV, but this is exactly what Pakistanis need to understand. So if you are to kind of share your opinion on how Pakistan is doing wonderfully well almost at all platforms, what would you say?
Our foreign policy, has never been stagnant. Let me be honest, give you an honest opinion. Has never been stagnant. But now, in the last few years, we have reactivated our foreign policy, reaching out to countries, especially in the region. Look at what we have done in Gaza. Our Prime Minister was there in the summit, the conference that took place in Egypt. Look at what we are being talking on the floors of the multilateral in the United Nations. Not a day goes when we do not support the people of Gaza. this is something, and we have been doing it in the knowing very well the opinion of the United States, but our foreign policy have been is active, is independent, and we are standing on principles. So this is something which is very, very important, and let's hope that this type of foreign policy continues, and our people. And one thing more, I tell you frankly, our diplomats are one of the best in the country, led by leaders who understand that reaching out to other countries and then sending a message of peaceful coexistence, both in India and with Afghanistan and in the region. So this is something I must commend this government, and let's hope we continue with this momentum in future also.
Inshallah. I mean,
Definitely,
Subhami, thank you
definitely.
so much, sir, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you. Thank you so much for highlighting how Pakistan, alhamdulillah, at all fronts is doing wonderfully well. Ladies and gentlemen, as a Pakistani, honestly, every single day when I wake up, and for me to kind of witness and be alive to witness this time, even for Eesha, I think it's the best time that we've ever come across.
I
Shukr,
mean,
alhamdulillah.
every other day we're hearing brilliant news regarding our economy, our diplomacy. We are definitely at the front and center of the world stage right now. And on this point, let's move on towards an interesting news that we have to share with you. And that is Pakistan's liquid foreign reserves have soared up to the tune
Look at
of
that.
19,000 $588.5 million US dollars during last week. SPB's foreign reserve increased by 14 million US dollars to 14,574 million US dollars. According to the State Bank of Pakistan, SPB holds foreign reserves of 14,574.8 million US dollars. The commercial banks hold up to $5,000 million, and foreign reserves thus total the tune of the liquid foreign reserves stand at a 19,588 million US dollars. I mean, this is amazing news, electrifying news, and it does give us a boost.
Straight facts, you know, and this is exactly what I would want my fellow Pakistanis to kind of understand. In addition to this, ladies and gentlemen, WWF in Pakistan marks 25 years of dolphin conservation. You know, they're being looked after. So WWF Pakistan celebrated 25 years of efforts to conserve the industry of dolphin, with the population nearly doubling to 2,000. The milestone underscores both the success of past initiatives and the need to address ongoing threats to the species' survival. Minister of Climate Change Senator Musaddiq Malik praised the collaborative conservation efforts, highlighting Pakistan's commitment as a signatory to the 2023 Global Declaration of River Dolphins. Over the past quarter century, WWF Pakistan has worked with government and local partners to protect dolphin habitats, improve rescue operations, and enhance monitoring.
I mean, it was an impressive mission, and we made sure to protect our dolphins and keep their environment safe and secure. We do hope that the dolphins keep thriving. With that, we will be taking a short break, so stay tuned with us for some information.
We are
World
this morning.
All right, welcome back to all the lovely people who stayed tuned to watch World this morning on Pakistan TV. We do have some important and integral pertinent news to share with you as the global politics keeps evolving. First things first, what actually happened is that Turkey has summoned Ukraine's ambassador and Russia's acting charge of affairs to the foreign ministry to convey its concerns over a series of attacks on Russian-linked vessels inside its exclusive economic zone in the Black Sea. Turkey's deputy foreign minister termed the attacks as a very serious escalation. Not just this, Russia has said that Turkey's attacks on tankers and ships in the Black Sea are intended to disrupt the peace process. Russian foreign minister has stated to the news conference in St. Petersburg that the Ukraine ignored Turkey's and Kyrgyzstan's reactions and continued its attempts to drown Russian vessels. And we will be talking about what is actually happening is that Ireland and the Netherlands, as well as Slovenia and Spain, have announced that they will boycott the Eurovision 2026 after Israel was allowed to compete. The European Broadcasting Union, which runs the contest, decided not to hold a vote on excluding Israel despite calls from some countries to do so. I mean, obviously, a country that is going to violate ceasefires and blatantly kill innocent people, the world is going to stand up against.
And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this part of the show. And it's because of the fact that imagine that, you know, for all the Middle Eastern countries, obviously followed by the Trump administration, President Donald Trump making sure that he's going to make all sorts of effort to bring peace in that region, where we are to speak about Israel and Gaza peace treaty or a peace plan, the 20 Accord plan which was given. You know, there have been questions about the second phase of it, even though that we do see, you know, some ceasefire violations on behalf of Israel, and it is unfortunate to witness that how I think that the peace treaty is not in 100% of its faith being followed. But just yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, asked by reporters when the second phase would begin, Trump sidestepped the question saying only that things were going well, and that, you know, that the second phase of the peace treaty will actually begin in a few days. You know, to kind of ask about this and the ceasefire violations which have been going on, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be an international relations expert. He's Dr. ATTIQ REHMAN. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you feeling today?
I'm fine, but it looks nice to discuss in the morning, I mean, the Middle East and the, I mean, the power politics.
Exactly.
Right,
and you're here to answer all of our questions as well. So first things first, to get started, I think we need to get started with how obviously Trump administration, or maybe the United States of America, or the government of the United States of America has got quite a pretty hold, you know, globally, or the international politics, or how things move in the world. But unfortunately, we have seen that, you know, that this peace accord which was signed in between Israel and Gaza, and, you know, for all the Middle Eastern countries to play their role, we do see quite a lot of ceasefire violations still continuing. Is it fair enough to say that it might not be the kind of pressure that they have on the world than on Israel?
No, it's not like
All
that.
right.
I mean, when we discuss the Middle Eastern politics, so we should not forget the history of the region.
Okay.
So there are the number of initiatives for settlement of peace, sometime for the ceasefire, sometime to resolve the Palestinian conflict on the permanent basis. But the problem is all the solutions always remain the temporary options.
Okay.
So making something a long-term solution or transforming the temporary solutions into the long-term solution, that's quite difficult.
Okay.
So presently, no doubt the Trump administration, with good intention, they have launched the 20 points peace plan, and they are going to depart from the first phase and going to land in the second phase. But well, we need to see the reaction from the international community or the other great powers. Like the United Nations Security Council, they approved the plan. They have sent their satisfactory. They have showed their satisfactory position on it. But on the other hand, the meeting was it was in the absence of China and Russia.
Definitely.
And on the other hand, second phase is demanding the demilitarization, de-escalation, disarmament of and de-radicalization of the Hamas. That's quite challenging.
It is.
And how the Hamas will react. Because in the Middle Eastern history, in the recent history, we can see when there was the interim deal between Obama administration and the Iranian government, there was the massive celebration around the world within United States and Iran as well. So people were having the high hopes for the future peace in the Middle East, but unfortunately, we have seen the failed, or what can you say, unsatisfactory outcomes, undesired outcomes of the
Exactly.
deal.
And since you mentioned about the first phase, and Eesha, I do know for a fact that how you're actually holding on to your question, but very quickly, it is very relevant over here for me to ask, because phase one of the ceasefire deal includes the release of Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. The plan also envisages the rebuilding of Gaza and the establishment of a new governing mechanism without Hamas. Do you think that we are there already?
We are missing one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are just turning our back from the other side of the coin.
Okay.
So is the first phase is going to give some recognition and the legitimation to the Palestinian voices?
True.
That's a problem. So still is issue is still there.
All right.
So they are going to release their hostages, their detained people, the prisoner they are going to exchange, and they have implemented the ceasefire. But the actual question is still there. So the legitimacy to Hamas, that is still there.
Definitely. The ground reality of the
ground
situation
reality they are negating.
It is.
So presently we are very much happy with the progress of this deal, the formulation of the stabilization forces. Presently we are very much happy. But how the Hamas or the Iranian leadership will react that is difficult to predict.
All
So presently, I must say, we are very much happy to discuss this deal, but we are very much unpredictable to say anything for the future.
Whether all of that has been achieved or not.
And we can see how Israel is blatantly violating the ceasefire time and time again. And at this point, the United Nations Secretary General has stated that Israel's war is genocidal. It is fundamentally wrong. And on this note, where do you think Israel stands legally and diplomatically across the globe? We do know how Netanyahu has been declared a war criminal. What is going to be the next step to hold them accountable?
And the rebuilding process.
Yeah, rebuilding process, that is a third phase.
Yeah.
I mean, I do not see, based on my knowledge, there is going to have the Americans and the other supporter of the peace deal, they are going to have the expected outcomes in the second phase. I mean, it's very challenging.
Yep.
All right.
Addressing the grievances of the Palestinian people, that's a problem. And on the other hand, the Israeli strategy, it always remained very much calculated and ambiguous for the entire world.
True.
I mean, one side they are talking about the peace and the ceasefire with the American and the international community, but on the other hand, they are continuously violating the ceasefire. They are showing their capabilities as well.
Exactly. And there's another development over here, sir, and that is that imagine that the UN Security Council adopted a resolution on Monday that endorses a peace plan for Gaza put forward by United States President Donald Trump and a temporary international force in the enclave following 2 years of war.
But this meeting was in the absence of China
and Russia, yeah.
That thing I have mentioned. So on the other, we must say that the deal, this peace plan is going to again become the victim of the Security Council politics.
All right.
The great power politics.
And we can witness how Israel says one thing on paper, but then turns its back and attacks the other nations. We can see how it is attacking Lebanon. Israel airstrikes southern Lebanon just a day after Lebanese and Israeli representatives held their meeting after decades. What do you have to say about this?
Because they have very strong standing in the world based on their actively functioning diplomatic forces and within the region their strategic capabilities. They have kind of nuclear capabilities, undeclared, untested, but on the other hand, they have communicated to the entire world. They have that much capability. So the two factors provide them the strategic advantages and the diplomatic advantages within the region and in the international community, which is not with the Hamas and the opposite voices. That's a basic problem.
And not just that, I think over here what we really need to kind of bring in conversation is that how one day they could actually decide that they're going to bomb Qatar, you know, they could bomb Iran, that they could bomb, you know, whoever they want, and now we see that there's Lebanon. So if we are to speak about it, or if we are to wrap it up, do you think that this peace plan accord is going as planned by the Trump administration, or do you think that all the key players will need to kind of make sure that they put pressure diplomatically or politically, to kind of
is the problem.
Have a solution?
Compliance is the problem. In the Middle Eastern peace process, compliance is always a problem.
It is.
So presently we can see that the first phase, they are internationally saying that they are advocating that they have completed successfully the first phase that is purely based on the ceasefire.
True.
But on the other hand, we are witnessing the frequent ceasefire violations. And they are going to plan, they are going to start the second phase, but on the other hand, the compliance issue is in the first phase.
And it's ironic to see, you know, how, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm still looking for those right words to kind of put it in a way where it actually does sound a little, you know, coming from somebody who's actually literate, you know, very well educated. Imagine, you know, so for someone, you know, this responsible to say that there was a bomb which went off by mistake and there were a few people killed, you know, so it was a very unfortunate statement to kind of complete.
It's difficult to accept logically. It's difficult to accept based on the intellectual wisdom. How I mean, the situation is very much sensitive, so there isn't even a margin of a single mistake.
True.
So that is going to make you pay a very big price.
True.
So that's difficult to believe. Easy to say, but it's difficult to believe.
Exactly.
It lacks the substantial convincing power, the argument.
But we certainly hope and pray that, that for all of these, countries who've actually played their important role in making sure that, that the ceasefire and peace plan accord actually comes into play, we certainly would want to kind of appreciate President Donald Trump's efforts in making sure that there's peace in the region. He keeps on saying that that there's peace in Middle East, which is good. Now I'm going to shift the region geographically, and I'm going to speak about something which unfortunately has been a problem lately. And to speak about it, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give a 2-second break to my producer and then come towards that point of time as well. So ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about how Afghan nationals, unfortunately, in the United States of America have been planning attacks. Not just that, they have been killing National Guards as well. And it's unfortunate to see that how there have been, 5 Chinese in a cross-border attack killed in Tajikistan. There have been skirmishes alongside the Pakistan and Afghan borders within the Afghan Taliban regime and Pakistan armed forces. We'll speak about it. All right, we are still in conversation with Dr. ATTIQ REHMAN, who happens to be an international relations expert. Where we do see for Pakistan, the Kyrgyzstan president is over here. We do see how we do share brotherly relationship with Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. And one of the menace that has been created within this region, which stops or hinders our prosperity or success or economic development, is the Afghan Taliban regime in Afghan. And unfortunately, we have seen how Afghan nationals in the United States of America have been going around killing people, preparing for attacks or planning for attacks. And the Trump administration continuously says that it's the Biden's auto pen which have allowed 190,000 Afghans to actually come in, and now the vetting process is going to go on and all sorts of visa processes are being at halt. How do you see this changing environment because of Afghan nationals globally?
I think the United States, Pakistan has very strong and cooperative ties with the United States.
Indeed.
And I think the United States must learn something from Pakistan's experience of accommodating the Afghan diaspora.
Yes.
So Afghan diaspora, definitely that's a problem. They are very much linked with their with their internal societal system that is very much encircled by warlords or the ungoverned kind of things. So Afghan diaspora, that's a problem internationally. We have also witnessing this thing.
Exactly.
So they are conducting very covertly or sometimes very overtly the violence against the states where they are living.
And imagine that that the place that they've been living in, unfortunately, there's been war for so long. There have not been any psychological testing of the people who've actually come in. You might not know who they were affiliated with. And in addition to this, there was a man arrested in the United States in possession of a gun and written plans for attack. Is Afghan, and that's what the Foreign Office actually tells, and not of Pakistani origin. Foreign Office spokesperson Tahir Andrabi on Thursday that a man arrested by the US police last week in Delaware after he was found in possession of a handgun, ammunition and written plans for an attack was not Pakistani origin and was an Afghan. I'm mentioning this story because unfortunately the Indian warmongering media has actually been labeling that, the guy was Pakistani and whatnot. The guy came from Afghanistan, lived over here and then went to the United States of America. Now, I think that this is a challenge for Pakistan to kind of make sure, because imagine that for all of that hospitality we have shown to our Afghani brothers and sisters, because I'm not saying that everybody is the same. So for all of that hospitality we have shown to 4 million or more Afghans who came over here, had their families, got married, studied, had the best health care, are now actually doing this.
We are providing every possible facility to them, and on the other hand, we are suffering a lot economically. And socially, we are not having, a very accurate system, social defense system because of them.
True.
We are having, we are witnessing a lot of crimes over there within the country, across the country. And I think at this point, the international community should support Pakistan's position on entertaining or hosting the Afghan diaspora.
Exactly. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. ATTIQ, for being with us. Lovely to be in conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
And you're very well versed. Your words are very well articulated as well. And for people who are out there, I think that the entire chapter, to sum up, is that the United States of America really needs to learn quite a lot from Pakistan in terms of when we speak about the Afghan national, the Afghan Taliban regime, and the kind of new mindset that we have seen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to transition from all of this. It's a little challenging to, all of a sudden move from such a serious topic to sports, but I will always make sure that I do that. So let's move on towards sports. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're very lucky. Obviously, we do know that the best competitive cricket that we get to see, or the world gets to see, is the Ashes, which is underway in Australia as of now. We're very lucky that we've been joined by Mr. KASHIF SHABBIR, who will actually let us know what sort of cricket is taking place and how competitive it is already. Hello, KASHIF. Assalamu alaikum. How are you? Good morning. KASHIF bhai, आवाज आ रही है?
जी, अस्सलाम वालेकुम. अब आ गई आवाज.
Thank you so much for joining us. And so all of I think quickly, let's move on towards the Ashes. You know, Australia trails by somewhat around probably 280. When I started for the 298. I don't know in an hour how much they have scored. So please update us. And what do you make of it?
First, a very interesting match is going on. And 334 was the total that England managed to pile up. And then the Australians, they started pretty well to strike a run rate of around 5.5. And they are 110 for the loss of one very crucial, very important wicket of Travis Head. The match is getting very, very interested. And I think it is going to be a very close match between the two nations.
Exactly. And KASHIF, what I'm going to ask over, obviously, you know, Australians, I think, are trying to play baseball today against England, because imagine that they're already at 110 in 18 overs. I will come back to that. But imagine, you know, the wrath of this left-arm pacer, you know, the expert of a pink ball, who's actually surpassed, you know, test wickets, or the world record of Mr. Wasim Akram. Obviously, Wasim Akram is a legend, nothing to take away from him. You know, the time that he played in and the pitches that he played in, but Mitchell Starc at 400 or more than 415 wickets, and the highest test wicket taker is out there still playing for the last 15 years.
There's no doubt about the talent that Mitchell Starc possesses. And secondly, in the absence of Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood, he's spearheaded the attack of Australia, and single-handedly, I think he was the main contributor in the victory of Australia in the first Ashes. And same is the case in the second Test match. I think he is a star act, and he is a great bowler. We have seen his ability in all formats, whether it is T20, it is one days, or it is Test matches. Everywhere he is same. He is very, very agile. And in the last match, I'm sure you must have seen the catch that he took against Crawley. That was absolutely incredible. So I think overall he is a great sportsman, a great pace bowler. And yes, he did manage to surpass great Wasim Akram's record. But as rightly mentioned by you, that was a different era, and this is a different story altogether. But still, I think the credit should be given to Mitchell Starc, and I think there is still a long way to go for Mitchell Starc.
Exactly. And KASHIF, in addition to this, just yesterday, I was in conversation with Mr. Shoaib Akhtar, who once again is one of the greats, or the greatest who has actually stepped on this planet. There was this one remark that he made, and he made that obviously it speaks quite a lot about, you know, his fitness and the way, and, you know, the way his action is as a left-arm pacer. But what he mentioned more was that we really need to kind of appreciate their board, that they have been backing him up as well. How much do you think the role of the board is in making what he has done today or achieved for the world?
I think the credit, as I said, the credit should be given to Mitchell Starc, but obviously the compliment has been given from the board as well. But these things are not true in Pakistan, unfortunately. And I'm sure that's the reason why Shoaib Akhtar was comparing it with the Australian board. But if you look at the modern cricket, I think fitness is the key for any bowler, especially when you talk about fast bowlers. Fitness is very, very important, because the fast bowlers, they have to take care of the whole body, the whole structure and everything. And along with bowling, the fielding side is also very important. And we have seen that Mitchell Starc has been as good as a fielder as he is as a bowler. And if the board is with you, if the board is complementing your effort, I'm sure the effort goes many-fold ahead. And this is true for Mitchell Starc.
Exactly. And now from Australia, I'm going to move on towards England as well. Now imagine, so first of all, let's welcome Joe Root's maiden century in Australia and the 40th overall as well. What do you make of it? And Joe Root, coming up and making sure that he's going to hold his nerve, because England actually lost 4 of its players on duck. So what do you make of that? Because this 330 total might not have been possible if Joe Root wasn't there.
There's no doubt about it. And we have seen the way Joe Root has, overall strategized his inning, because at one time, England was in deep trouble, especially after losing Stark and Jimmy Smith in the very first delivery. I think that was a difficult proposition for England. But Joe Root, we all know his ability. We know he is a world-class batter, and now he has scored around 41 centuries in Test matches. So that is again a record for Joe Root because now he is at number 3 after, I think, Sachin Tendulkar, Ponting, and then it comes to Joe Root. And if this inning was not possible for Joe Root, this would not have been a total for England. But still, I think 330 is not a very big total for England. The way the Australians are batting, I'm sure the second inning is going to be very difficult for England, because they'll have to pile up a score of around maybe more than 350 if they want to give some target to Australians, because Australians at their own wicket, at their own home ground, is a different team altogether.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Kashif, for being with us. It's always lovely to be in conversation with you, and thank you so much for these wonderful insights which you always keep on sharing with our audiences as well. So, Eesha, I think this is it for cricket. Who do you want to win? Do you want to win?
I mean, given the history, right, of Ashes, how it was termed after England lost brutally by Australia, and then it was the cricket left in ashes of flames. I mean, I do believe I will stand by Australia in terms of their performance. However, with that, we will be wrapping up this segment for today. Make sure to watch us on Monday. We know that you are going to be eager and going to be waiting for us.
No work tomorrow?
Yeah, no work tomorrow. Oh no, so that is sad. We will catch you on Monday, and we will miss you. Stay tuned.
We have all this morning. Jumma Mubarak. Allah Hafiz.